I Am the Answer by Lillian DeWaters. Chapter 1. The Astonishing New Revelation. Today, nearly the whole world is giving attention, in some way, to the Great Triangle: the truth, God; the student, man; and the problem, human existence. We all know that problems continually come and go, and that man changes his ideas all the time, while to God, the truth, everything remains invariable and without shadow of turning. Undoubtedly, we've all placed ourselves as students, endeavouring to apply the truth to our earthly problems. Reader, have you not done this very thing? Suppose that all the knowledge of truth we possessed were inadequate to solve our problems. We might search for more knowledge and greater ability to make use of it, but the demands upon us might increase, and the problems seem never to cease. We often long for that place where we rest, with no thought of an earthly problem. Have we not all entertained such a wish? Invariably, it takes the flash of light to reveal the true meaning of life and of all things to us. Nor can it be obtained in any other way. As the veil lifts, one moment's sudden revelation completely rearranges and shifts our viewpoint, and the scene abruptly changes. In fact, this was exactly what happened to me one day while in deep meditation. I was considering mathematics, its students and problems, when suddenly it dawned upon me that the student position which I had assumed was certainly an unreliable and unsound one. As this actuality burst upon me, breathlessly my heart cried out, "Oh, to be the principal instead of a student." Principal spelt Principle. Instantly, there followed a moment of shining light, with its electrifying transfusion sudden and swift, as though a curtain had been raised, admitting some startling new sight. I saw the indisputable fact with vivid, clear distinctness. I saw that I was the principal, not a student at all. Under this flood of blazing revelation, what else could I do but exclaim further, "Why, this means that I am the truth. I'm not a student trying to solve the problems of human existence, but I am the absolute and changeless truth itself." The simplicity of all this amazed and overwhelmed me. Here, in this brief but thrilling moment, I saw what years of study and research had never given me. Immediately, I then understood Jesus' dynamic statement, "I am the truth." Yes, this was it. I was not a student of truth, endeavouring to obtain and attain certain states of consciousness, always letting go one for another higher on the scale. No, I was truth itself. What more then could I ask? What more could be desired? Did truth or true being have any association with a problem? Certainly not. Neither then did I. I am the truth. Exuberantly, I told myself again and again in my newly found changed relationship. I am not trying to do, to think, or to know something, but I am doing, feeling, and being the truth, the life, and the way. Oh, the blessed wonder of the light. I saw then that the problem of human existence could never be solved, but will dissolve when we take our rightful stand as the truth, the life, and the way. Now, once having seen and accepted this platform, all other speculations immediately vanished, while beautiful verifications in Jesus' life and teaching came flooding my rapturous thought. How plainly now to see that Jesus never said that he was a student of life, but insisted, "I am the life." Neither did he intimate that he was a follower of some particular way or system, but again and again reiterated, I am the way. No wonder he was so absolute, so compellingly certain and sure. Never did he speak nor act as though he were using truth as a means to bring about certain healing results in a material existence. His attention was not toward conditions, states, nor beliefs, but upon that being which is unalterable, that principle which is fixed and absolute, that life which is wholeness always. Against such there is no law. Reader, know thyself. Learn who and what you really are, the meaning of life, and the fullness of all things. Then for you, wars and problems will cease and be no more. Sorrows and limitations fade away. For finding yourself as you really are, you shall be in touch with every good and perfect thing, and shall live here on earth a life of peace, joy, and plenty. Chapter 2, The Great Questions. Where shall I look for myself? When and how shall I find myself? One of the oldest teachings in the world is that the way infers a road or path, in fact, a going somewhere, as for an example, a pilgrimage. So countless ones believe that the place to find oneself is at the end of this road, or so-called path of return. Here at last, they say, one may hope to find himself and the things of the kingdom. Again, there are those who believe the way to be like a ladder reaching from earth to heaven, and so they set out on the long climb from rung to rung. In imagination, they climb and fall, time and time again. Yet always at the top, high in the distance, they place the goal. The story of the forester may well serve to illustrate the way, and is told like this. All his life, this man toiled felling trees. One day some messages came to him saying, "You are the king. You are not a forester." He only laughed, paying no heed to their story, but they became only more insistent in their endeavour to convince him of his real identity. After a while, the people whom he believed to be his parents told him that the messengers were right, that he was king, that when he was a baby he'd been taken from his mother, the queen, and left with them. Now then, what was the way for this forester to be king? Did he need to make any kind of a journey or overcome any certain obstacles? No, indeed. He needed but to believe and accept that which was actually the truth about himself and act upon it. This story accords with Jesus' teaching, I am the way, I am the door. Paradoxically then, the way is not in going somewhere, nor in achieving something, but in discovering one's very existence to be the perfection for which he is seeking now. The great question then for us all to decide is this. Am I believing that intrinsically I am the same life and being as Jesus, or not? If you agree that we all have the same relation to life and being as Jesus had, then you are forced to accept that since he claimed himself to be life and truth, this is exactly what we should be doing also. Listen closely. Your self is not an acquisition. Anything you do to become what already you are keeps you from experiencing the great answer. Did Jesus locate heaven at the end of a long journey or at the top of some imaginary ladder? He designated it within you. Reader, you will find yourself when you are released from every form of teaching which does not precisely agree with that of the Christ. Right where you are is the place. On the tablet of your heart shall be found the eternal word. I am the truth. Chapter 3, The new day dawns. The former things are passed away. Behold, I make all things new. From Revelations. Revelation of our own being does not depend upon any particular person, church, or nation, but is available to all alike. Inevitably, the new day dawns. The teachings of Christ are destined to be understood and accepted as he gave them. Plainly and clearly he set forth his simple teaching, but how complicated and confusing it has become. For instance, he prayed, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us. Never can we be one while we are students of differing forms of religion, for the student position ever binds one to church, teacher, book, practitioner, and personal beliefs. Only when we stop enacting the student or follower and accept our existence as the very truth, may we truly lay claim to the oneness with each other. In the new day, the old order crumbles and falls. The kingdom of heavenly oneness, order, and wholeness comes to light. Chapter 4. The Christ Message. I am the way, the truth, and the life. John. When we find a teaching which proclaims, I am the living truth, then we have heard the real Jesus Christ message, which is destined to free us. Jesus taught, I am the truth, while the present-day teaching regarding ourself is to the contrary, for we've been taught to believe that we are not the truth, but that we are man, the student, that we are not the life, but that we are its expression, that we are not the way, but that we are a follower of it. What a difference it makes to us in our vision and experience to be the truth and the life, rather than a student applying the truth to his problem. So long as one considers himself a student, shall he find himself confronted with problems. For are not problems part of the life of a student? If one seeks for knowledge, what shall be the knowledge which finally will completely satisfy him? Surely nothing but the established from the beginning fact that he himself is the way, the truth, and the life. Lo, the facts which Jesus taught about himself must inevitably be the ones which we are to see as true of ourselves. Else of what advantage are they to us? Definitely the greatest fact we can learn is the knowledge that we are the living truth. As we come into the positive and luminous awareness of this eternal verity, all lesser viewpoints are bound to completely leave us. As one may be certain that mathematics is absolute and unassailable, so sure was Jesus of himself as the way, the truth, and the life, invincible, inviolable, infallible, absolute, and complete. And most certainly his life on earth was to teach this same fact about us all. Jesus knew that he was the truth itself, the life itself, the way itself, and he said so. He took this stand as the fact of being, thus nothing could ever hurt him, affect, or destroy him. Let people think they could lay hold of him. They found themselves grasping at thin air. Let them attempt to kill him. They saw him walking about in their midst, unharmed. All things may appear to change and vary, but true being remains ever the same. It holds itself invincible, infallible, indissoluble, true and absolute always. Verily, until we see and feel that we are the truth, and not man, idea, or student, we shall always be trying to get out of difficulties called problems. To the truth, all is perfection now, and to the one being, all is the perfect whole. Thus, for us ever to be perfect, changeless, pure, and incorruptible, We must now be the truth and nothing less. Chapter 5. Man, never God. In a far country of human and material existence, where there appear multitudinous men, women and children, the terms man and mankind are frequently used generically. But to consider oneself as man is a great and grave mistake. Christ gave no such instruction. He made use of the term man only when referring to the forms called persons or personalities as follows. First, bind the strong man, from Matthew. First of all, renounce the perverse and inflexible belief that you are man, for it is not the truth. Call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father, which is in heaven. Matthew. Man is not your father, and not yourself. He is of the earth, dust to dust. One is your being, Father, only. That perfection which is your own without beginning or end. What shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world of human accomplishments and intellectualities and lose his own soul and neglect discovering the great answer to existence? From Mark. No man hath seen God at any time. From John. No one as man or personal individual can understand the infinite. We stone thee for blasphemy, because that thou, being a man, makest thyself God. From John. In one way their perception was correct, since man can never be God. But they made the fatal mistake of regarding Jesus as man. The fact was that Jesus was laying down his life to prove to them, and to all, that we are not multiple individual personalities, as it seems, but infinite spirit, life and being, perfection, wholeness, and immortality. The individualistic position is destined to dust, oblivion, inexistence, while perfection as the whole, the all in all, remains unchangeable from eternity to eternity. The Christ identified himself with all-inclusive infinity, never with limited finite man, thus his almighty power and presence. Saith the Scriptures, a man hath no preeminence above a beast. All go to one place, all are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. From Ecclesiastes. The things of God knoweth no man. From Corinthians. Jesus knew all men, and needed not that any should testify of man, for he knew what was in man. From John. You can see now for yourself the incongruity of the belief that we are man. The fact is, man is not a being of any kind, but a position of inversion, a turning away from reality and perfection. When his disciples attempted to glorify him as a good man, Jesus rebuked them, saying, none, no one, no man is good, save God only. At one time, metaphysics introduced to the world the true idea that really we are not any kind of man at all, but spirit, life, and being, that the root meaning of the word man implies manifestation. This enlightened instruction was in vogue for several years. Then it was removed and replaced by the teaching that we are not spirit, life, and being, but spiritual man, image, or idea, and as such reflect, but do not possess spirit, life, and being. Now then, the teaching that we are life, mind, and spirit agrees with that of the Christ. No other does. The prevailing idea in metaphysics today still is that we are spiritual perfect man, an utter impossibility, and one which our great teacher never propounded. In all scripture, there is but one mention of spiritual man, as in the following: the days of visitation are come, the days of recompense are come. Israel shall know it. The prophet is a fool, the spiritual man is mad. Jesus' teaching was wholly from the true and absolute state of being. He spoke from the viewpoint of sovereign power, not as a reflection of it. Gloriously and triumphantly, he proved to all that he was life immortal, power omnipotent, and spirit immaculate and eternal. Reader, can you doubt it? To attempt, therefore, to spiritualize man, which term means precisely a form of life having beginning and end, a form of personality and individuality separate from the whole, keeps one from seeing and accepting the spiritual requisite to let go such a fallacious practice in order to be like him who was Lord of heaven and earth. The great teacher of all never spoke of man as perfect or spiritual. He knew that, as man, we could never reach the solution to being, and so he stated plainly, a man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven. John. Paul caught this amazing insight also when he boldly declared, let God be true, but every man a liar. Exultingly, Jesus stressed, ye are the light of the world. In you is the river of the water of life. The kingdom of God is within you, and the glory which thou gavest me, I have given them. Do such words as these suggest the slightest hint that we are lifeless, helpless images, dependent upon some outside power or being for whatever we are or hope to become? Decidedly not. You may ask, what about Moses' declaration that God created man in his own image? True. Here Moses was alluding to us as man and not life, the self-existent, but he gave us as much of the truth as he knew at the time. Moses was not destined to give the full truth, for this revelation belonged only to Jesus Christ. He alone was the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth, the only one who was aware of his and of our inherent God state, and the fallacy of the assumptive man position. Continually he referred to our inherent state as the Father within, the pristine and genuine reality unknown to us as individuals or human beings, but known and understood as our soul cognizes itself to be God. Moses did not reach the promised land, proving he did not have the perfect and complete knowledge of himself, but taught the human footsteps, the resurrection, but not the ascension. Indeed, none, as man, shall ever reach the promised land. Only as we are detached from that which is not the truth of us, and take possession of that self, body, and universe which eternally are ours, shall we see face to face and know as we are known of God. Imperially, the Master set aside the transitory vision of Moses and proclaimed, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven. I am the bread which came down from heaven. I. Verily, if one does not willingly accept that being which is eternally and everlastingly his, that which he is, then, of necessity, he will continue to imagine himself that which he is not, man, form, image, idea, dust. Therefore, our only real hope for emancipation from all such mistaken ideas is to be like Jesus. Life instead of an image of life, truth instead of an idea of truth, power instead of a reflection of power, and the way instead of a follower of some particular system, book, church, or person. We should always look directly at the teaching of Christ. Never did he intimate that he was man, an image, idea, or expression. Then why believe it? Why not believe exactly as he taught? That we are all one, and so are really the self-same life and being. The way Jesus regarded his identity with being is the way for us to do so also. Else why call him the way shower? Furthermore, why acknowledge him to be the truth and the life, and us mere reflections of it? Unless we see exactly as he saw and follow in his footsteps, how do you suppose we shall ever be like him and do the works he commanded? Paul caught a glimpse of this self-revealing light when he wrote, "We have the mind of Christ," in Corinthians. Also in Corinthians, Jesus Christ is in you. And John too prophetically announced, "Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, when truth shall be more fully revealed, we shall be like him, Jesus Christ, for we shall see, recognize him as he actually is, the way, the truth, and the life." In these latter days, all falsities are to be exposed. There is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known, it says in Matthew. And in John, "And they shall be all taught of God." Only the Spirit of truth can reveal to us the sublime fact that we are God and not man. It must come as a direct perception. Therefore, dear reader, as soon as you perceive that you are not spiritual man, nor an image of any kind, nor expression of any sort, you shall then be ready to take possession of yourself as infinite, perfect being, and none less. Since you are alive, you are life. And since life is one indivisible whole, then this you must be and are the very same as Jesus. For himself and for whoever so ever will, he proclaimed, "All, not part, all power is given to me. I am the life. I am the truth. I am the first and the last, the beginning and the end." Could he have said it any plainer? Could he have more clearly presented the oneness of life and being? Do you believe that he did or did not include us in this vision? Nature entitles us all to the air as a whole, since it is indivisible, and likewise to the sunlight, since it cannot be separated into parts. Mathematics too is available to everyone, nor can it be personalized or separated from the whole. In the same way, we are all entitled to indivisible love, indivisible intelligence, indivisible perfection and power, and the indivisible fullness of every good and perfect thing. As soon as we begin to glimpse these wonderful and thrilling realities and simultaneously withdraw our claim to the dust thou art forms and the dust thou art individualities, we shall make rapid progress toward enacting that new creature which Paul prophetically mentions. The terrific upheaval taking place everywhere on earth today signals the doom of all which would obstruct the coming into view and actuality of the ever-living, never to be lost sight of Jesus Christ's message and the perfection of all things, even as he foretold. Perfect self, perfect universe, perfect body, perfect experience for everyone who will take all. When one lets go the false individualistic sense of himself, then he may say, "I am the one infinite being. I am life everlasting. I am truth immortal and eternal, thinking and speaking as the one and only." He may claim all good as his very own. But should he speak as an individual or person, then such a claim would be sacrilegious. Said the Christ, "With men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." When the Spirit in you comes forth and gloriously bears witness to the forever truth, then only shall you know that I and my Father are one. and understand more certainly that the Father, infinite being, is greater than I as person, man, or individual. Now we see that God and man are not one, nor are they opposites. The infinite can have no opposite. One God, perfection, is the true state and the eternal. The other, man, imperfection, is an untrue position and the non-existent. I am God and not man. I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another. In Isaiah. When the scales drop from our eyes and we see the self in its true light, we shall love to be that which everlastingly we are, the life triumphant, the indivisible absolute. In its true sense, the word individual means indivisible and pertains to the divine alone. However, it is generally understood to mean a single human being with a mind and body of his own. Since life is spirit, not matter, it cannot be divided into human beings. Chapter 6, the pure in heart. In Matthew it says, "Blessed are the pure in heart." Those of us who are sufficiently pure in heart will now happily take the step further and be released from all individualism. For to consider oneself an individual is automatically to set oneself apart from the whole. Mind or consciousness cannot be individualized into minds, nor life into lives. Only as we give up a suppositional individuality or individualized consciousness may we rightfully lay claim to the fullness of God, the whole. No longer need one attempt to heal minds or individualities, diseases or inharmonies, but seek rather to relinquish and erase all sense of multiple individualities and their essential restrictions or problems, in order to consider the perfection and completeness of life and being as an infinite, indivisible whole now. How easy to see that spirit cannot be sick, poor, unhappy, deluded, or at war with itself. Nor could there exist in it any imperfection, inharmony, or limitation of any kind. Limited vision shall be swallowed up in the infinite ocean of purity, love, and understanding, and the definite knowledge of the one indivisible life and being shall glorify and bless all who will accept it, even as light illumines the darkness. Our desire or effort to be rid of the appearance of any personal failure or discord must now be completely relinquished for the greater desire and effort to be pure in the heart. That is, to acknowledge perfection as one, infinite, all and whole, indivisible, and now at hand. Giving up the defective viewpoint, which deals with individualities, bodies, and human experiences, and placing our full vision, love, and trust on perfect being, perfect body, and perfect universe as the one indivisible whole, we are bound to experience peace, harmony, and wholeness, and the abundance of every good and perfect thing. Those who refuse to make the great surrender shall continue to sit in darkness and dream of many men, many wars, many minds, and many distressing experiences. It takes purity to see purity. So long as we are not pure in heart, we are destined to see problems, warfare, and suffering. It's given. For the notion of separateness and individualism enfolds all the suffering on earth. Man, seeing man, prays for peace, but the one, seeing the one, enjoys peace, harmony, and blessedness. Not my will, but thine be done, said Jesus, completely releasing himself from the personal sense he had assumed for our sakes. Whenever we are willing and ready to accept the one as all and the all as one, we too may be certain of peace, harmony, and happiness. Seeing then that this is what is really required of us, in order that we take leave of a far-off country, let us hasten to follow the way-shower, nor think it robbery to be equal with him. Open the door and I will come in is the soft insistence of the Christ. Open your heart to admit the astonishing new revelation that you are the unchangeable truth and not the ever-changeable student. Be still and know that I am God and that there is no other I. Hereafter, seek not for statements or formulas to be memorized, but consider the self as able and willing to reveal to you whatever it is your desire to know. The one divine mind is yours now. It is now your own, self-revealing. Believing that you are a spiritual idea, you cannot claim to be the divine mind, nor are you embracing Jesus' teaching. Your every thought and reason is built upon the mistaken premise that you are man, an individual, not upon Christ's teaching, I am the truth. Everything depends upon our devotion and adherence to the one whole which is complete in perfection, harmony, and immortality. Thus shall we come into the new day and partake of the fullness and the purity of being. Chapter 7. Our Divine Destiny. As we move forward and ascend, gradually the scales fall from our eyes and a new vision opens. Finally, there comes the immaculate understanding that I am the light, I am the truth, I and my Father are identical. Inevitably, therefore, all lesser viewpoints will be renounced, for we are destined to know the self as Jesus did. Nor can such destiny be put aside. I come to fulfill, proclaimed he. I come to fulfill your destiny and bring to you the conscious awareness and knowledge of your eternal state. As you accept my teaching and follow me, you are bound to enter into the resplendent light of your own being. In this realm of pure revelation, one simply enjoys, without thought or struggle, the things which are his as the truth and the life, the things prepared for everyone from the foundation of the world. It is absolutely certain that our great exemplar never taught that he was a student of truth, but that he was the truth itself. If you do not understand the tremendous distinction between these two positions, then for illustration, look at the great gulf between mathematics and a scholar. The student position is generally one of strife and struggle, mutation and evolution, while Jesus contended that the truth would set us free from labor altogether. It was said to him, "Thou makest thyself God." Yes, he did this very thing, and he further admonished, "Follow me. The works that I do shall you do also. When you see as I see, think as I think, speak as I speak, make yourself God as I do. For we all are the self-same being." Now, dear friends, if Jesus is our absolutely perfect exemplar and way-shower, then it is certain that we shall arrive at the very same understanding which he had, and ultimately make the same self-same claim and assertion. We are the truth only because the truth is our nature. Of course, it could be no credit to us as individuals, since we are to put off such viewpoint altogether. This clearly explains the meaning of the words, "By grace are ye saved," since now we can see that nothing depends upon us as individuals. Already and eternally we are in and of the indivisible whole, which is forever pure and perfect. When you recognize that this is the absolute teaching of Jesus, you will willingly and gladly accept it. And when your desire is to put aside all other teachings which do not agree with the Christ message, you will speedily understand it. As your heart speaks to you, follow it. And if your heart does not speak to you, then make room for this glorious event to take place. by giving up all claims to any separate or individual identity. No false thought nor belief can ever prohibit the realization of our divine destiny. Chapter 8. One Infinite Whole. John says, I can of my own self do nothing. As a personality or individuality of mine own self, I am nothing. Losing the sense of many selves in the mighty and luminous realization of infinite being as one consciousness, all inclusive, we shall be set free from any problem confronting us, for it is certain no problem can exist in the one consciousness which is God. We may now clearly understand the first command, Thou shalt have no other gods. Minds, lives, students, beings, selves, individualities, before me, the one infinite whole. We should acknowledge, love, and serve the one consciousness as the only selfhood there is. Only then shall we be able to fulfill the second command, love thy neighbour as thyself. The infinite, indivisible self is our only neighbour. Thus, if anyone wishes our help, he will receive it if we but eliminate him as an independent or individual self and see and acknowledge the fullness, completeness, wholeness, security and perfection of the one infinite and indivisible selfhood as all of him. For those who are not yet fully persuaded to make the full surrender of a self outside of God, this step may seem to be too great a one to take. Yet you can readily see that it was only when the Son wished an independent individuality of his own that he became a prodigal. And so are we prodigals until we accept the one mind and being as our own, and are ready and willing to be this and to disown any other. When the Son desired to return to the Father's house, or accept the divine consciousness as his very own, immediately he entered into the abundance, peace, glory, and joy which ever abides herein. And it is absolutely certain that when we take our place as the divine perfection, and nothing less, we too shall be filled with the fullness of all good. After he made his decision, and this time the right one, then he accepted the gift, the feast of love filled to satiety. There is no way that we may be at one with the one except to cast aside our personal beliefs and be the one. Eliminating our false sense of individualities, the problems are eliminated also. We need not treat them, nor pray for deliverance from them, for such mental footsteps are practical only in the student position. Isaiah, when thinking of himself as a separate individual, said, I shall go softly all my years in the bitterness of my soul. When identifying himself with the one consciousness, he proclaimed, I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another. Before me there was no God made, neither shall there be after me. Look to me and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am God, and there is none else. Thus shall it be with every one of us when we are willing to efface all thoughts of a selfhood apart from the one. Then shall we understand anew those soul-filled words. Thine, O Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty. For all that is in heaven and in the earth is thine. Thine is the kingdom, O Lord, and thou art exalted as head above all. Through divine revelation, the final understanding will come to us that we are spirit. We are neither a human being, a material body, nor a separate individual. When we accept spirit to be the only substance, we shall comprehend these eternal words of the Christ. I and my Father are one. Chapter 9. One Indivisible Consciousness. The metaphysical system of formulating certain right thoughts in order to gain one's good has been a great and glorious improvement upon the altogether unawakened perception of being. Nevertheless, it does not reach that insight which discerns that one will effortlessly and truly have right thoughts if he will but give up the notion of individualized states and stages of consciousness and perceive in a new way the indivisible wholeness of self, body, and existence. 1. When we think inspirationally, we're using the God mind, and so are directly experience its attending peace, security, and happiness. Such thinking is always accompanied by inspirational feeling, since consciousness is both knowing and feeling. Accepting the new platform of one consciousness as whole and indivisible, we will cease to pluralize, multiply, or divide it. Such terms as minds, mentalities, individual states of consciousness, beings, and all similar terms have no place in ontology, the practice of reality and true being. Only when one releases himself from a false sense of multiple individualities and identifies himself with the one consciousness, which is whole and indivisible, does he think, feel, and act as the one and no other. Then any troublesome problem fades away. Can you now see that the only reason we have been in the dark, masquerading as man with a separate individual consciousness, is because we did not know our entity as infinite life and being, or grasp the deep significance in Jesus' words, I and my Father are one. You will be the light of your world as soon as you are willing to waken out of the darkness of multiple individualities as individualized consciousness and come to recognize, understand, and accept yourself as you really are, the same perfection as that of Jesus. While one believes that he has a mind and a consciousness of his own, he is unable to solve the problem of human existence. For how can a sleeper understand the things of his dream whilst he is the dreamer of them? And when he wakens, the necessity is gone. Thus, with us all, waking to function as life, the complete whole, the sleep leaves us. We are free, absorbed in the ocean of pure being. Chapter 10, Ontology. In Ephesians it says, there is one body and one spirit, even as ye are called in one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. The term ontology is derived from the Greek on, meaning being. It is neither a system nor a science of thought or thing. It is the practice of being. It deals with the universal or whole as indivisible and inseparable, one infinite, I am all in all, without beginning or end. Metaphysics overarches and transcends physics. Likewise, ontology overarches and transcends metaphysics. Moreover, as metaphysics does not mingle its practice with that of physics, neither does ontology confound itself with the usual metaphysical viewpoint. Ontology accepts one substance only, spirit. Therefore, no matter or materiality. One mind, infinite and all-inclusive. Therefore, no human minds, no mortal minds, no mentalities. One indivisible being. Therefore, no mankind, no personalities, no individualized consciousness. Ontology presents consciousness as one whole, inclusive of body and universe. In this presentation of being as one infinite, indivisible all, we accept Christ's teaching that I am the way, the truth, and the life. I and my Father are one. Therefore, We are this one and no other. We turn our vision to the real and the true, the absolute and complete, and hold it there. Hold it here. We see no corrections or adjustments to be made, no thing or thought to be healed or perfected. Willingly we let go both physical and metaphysical viewpoints that to us, perfection may be all in all. In Corinthians it says, "And when all things shall be subdued to him, then shall the Son also himself be subject to him that put all things under him, that God may be all in all." Jesus was the name given him who, for our sakes, assumed the form of a man or individual. He knew that he was God, perfection, and not man or imperfection, who, being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. In Philippians. Embodying the eternal verity, I am the truth and the life, we are verily accepting the body of Christ. For Christ is the truth of our being, calling, "Come to me," the Christ reality of yourself. Take possession of it as your very own. See no other, hear no other, speak no other. The Holy Ghost is the Spirit of Christ, bearing witness that I am come. I am with you always, the life triumphant. When we adopted metaphysics, it was time for us to put away former physical ideas and practices pertaining to our health and well-being. Now, accepting ontology, the time is at hand to put aside the prevailing metaphysical viewpoint, which gives credence to two worlds, the spiritual and immaterial, two powers, right and wrong thinking, two minds, the divine and immortal, two beings, God and man. Furthermore, and of even greater importance, we are to renounce absolutely and altogether the belief in multiple individualities or consciousnesses. To be sure, eternal gratitude for every thought and everything which lifted us from physics to metaphysics ever remains with us. But we know from within that we must continue on and up, nor ever cease to seek until we've found ourselves to be the truth and way. Adopting ontology, we transcend the standpoint which admits of multiple human minds and a universal mortal mind, multiple people called mortals, mankind or humanity, together with their respective miscalled bodies. We do this joyously and with no disparagement or dispraise, making no attempt to spiritualize, redeem, or correct the things in an assumptional, finite world. We hold our vision steadfastly to the universe of truth and reality, to discover such verities as eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man, but God hath revealed them to us by his Spirit. The Christ message in its entirety presents the presence of perfection everywhere. Thus, we are not to acquire perfection, but to know that we are it, and need only to expand our activities from this standpoint. Perfection is the substance and reality of all being, of life, and of all things. Be ye perfect, even as your Father is perfect. Be ye holy, as I am holy. How could we fulfill such admonitions unless as the one all? Believing otherwise restricts progress and thus prohibits the necessary ascension. The only way we can speak with authority is to speak as the one, for this only is omnipotent. The one way we can be perfect is to be that perfection which is all. In the practice of reality, we eliminate terminologies pertaining to lesser viewpoints and formulate terms which best express the meaning of the true and the real. Knowing that we are divine and not human, we may now outline and create according to our desires and aims, which, emanating from this mind, must be and are pure, and holy. Our success as mind, with a capital M, is assured and self-sustained. In fact, we may now do creative work of all kinds, not as labour, but as joyous expression of the self. This constitutes our self-existence. There is no lack of comprehension, desire, or ability in the perfect one mind or intelligence which we are. What a marvellous outlook. What a profound and all-embracing viewpoint. Life is that substance which is spirit. Thus, its forms are forms of spirit, not matter. In the one universal consciousness, there are multitudinous spiritual identities. These identities are not outside the body of life or consciousness, but spiritual ideas included in it, as there is no outside to that which is one all. This explodes the theory of reflection. Identities are not individualized, but are in and of the one universal consciousness, which is the forever life, truth, and love. In life, the whole, no identity can molest or in any way harm another, for life is indestructible, nor can mind misunderstand or mistake itself, nor love fail to be that which it eternally is, love. Ontology discloses that we are the kingdom of heaven. We are the Bible or book of life. We are mind with a capital M, body and universe, since they are the inseparable all. Seeing this great reality, we should be eager and willing to give up all contrary theories. It says in Corinthians, when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. Chapter 11. The True Worshippers. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. From John. Ontology honours God, the one mind, body, universe, not only above all else, but as the all in all. It is not willing to divide the honour of God with any person, book, church, method, or system of thought or thing. The practice of ontology is the acceptance of the whole as omnipresent and universal. With the Christ, it invites, come, take, accept, enter thou. Could it be simpler? Could you be asked to do less? The Christ message today, as 2,000 years ago, presents itself to receptive hearts, for such alone will hear and heed it. Jesus wept over Jerusalem, and many today may weep over those who will not heed the great answer. But none can say that life is not fair, just, and altogether loving, since it asks only that we worship it as our own, and as all there is. How could God, the one life and consciousness, be all if there were countless human beings, each with a mind, life, being, and individuality of his own? Thus, in order for you to decide that good and perfection are all, you will of necessity need to eliminate yourself and everyone else as separate, limited individualities. Then, and then only, will you be worshipping the true God, who is one universal presence, perfect, complete, all harmonious, and eternal. It was when Jesus asked Peter, "Whom say ye that I am?" that Peter caught a glimpse of the wonder, power, and glory of Christ as the one selfhood, in contradistinction to the many imperfect forms of individualities, and replied, "Thou art the Christ." In praise and glorification of Peter's true viewpoint, Jesus returned, "Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it to thee." You do not discern this as an individual, but my Father which is in you, in heaven. The Spirit of the whole has revealed it to you, and upon this rock, premise, I will build my church, which is establishing my message, and the gates of hell, any opposition, shall not prevail against it. What was Jesus' mission if not to bring the message of oneness and allness to those who, because of the false acceptance of themselves as individual identities, were limited and restricted in every way? In the God state, or state of knowing who and what we are, there is no choice. But while one sojourns as an individual, he must, of necessity, choose whether to remain as such or be me, true worshipper who accepts the self as the one all. Chapter 12, The Living Water. Did Jesus possess infinite, almighty power, while we have only as much as we can get together in an infinitesimal fraction called an individuality? So long as you believe yourself to be a single individual, automatically you are kept in bondage to the false notion that intelligence can be separated into segments and particles, and that you are one of them. No man cometh to the Father but by me, announced the mighty I am the way. No one believing himself to be an individual being, life, or entity shall be able to let go such a perverse and disastrous stand until he sees the oneness and allness of life and being as Jesus exemplified and portrayed for us. All power is given to me in heaven and on earth, he claimed. Do such astounding words sound like those of any present-day individual? If you are at present accepting the idea that you are a personality or individuality, then wonder no longer why you're experiencing limitation in all directions. Limited spiritual understanding, limited inspiration, limited health, happiness, harmony, and limited prosperity and success in all your affairs. For if individualism has any significance at all, it stands for restrictions and restraint in every way. Awaken from such folly. From the beginning, individualism is doomed to outer darkness and inexistence. What do the words I am mean, if not one's present perfection? At hand heaven, and whereon thou standest fullness of every good and perfect thing. Letting go all sense of acquisition and futurity, as well as of bondage to past events or circumstances, you may say, I am, and experience its inherent glory. How can one truly acknowledge the oneness and allness of intelligence while believing he is entitled to a consciousness of his own and an individualized sense of everything? Can you see how such reasoning is altogether unsound and illogical? If you're going to declare that you believe in the oneness and allness of being, then of necessity you must declare and accept yourself to be this very being. Just why did they crucify Jesus? Because his standpoint was different from theirs. He thought, talked, and acted from the viewpoint of perfection as all in all. They from the viewpoint of imperfection and limitation everywhere. He spoke from the state of the all. They from the position that intelligence can be broken up into multiple lives, minds, and consciousnesses. Such pernicious notions still persist to this very day. No wonder they marveled. Never man spake as this man. Indeed not, for only one who is not in the man position can do so. Yet, listen to the glorious and gracious invitation given all. Whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Do you hear? Freely, fully, completely, without limit or restriction. Oh, the glory of the Christ word. Whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. How could such a sublime promise as this ever have been overlooked by us? How could we ever have come to accept any teaching other than the one which gives us all inspiration, knowledge, and understanding? Repeatedly, Jesus referred to the Father, not as a big man up in the sky, nor some mind or principle separate from himself. Just where did he place the Father? Off in the distance or outside of him? No. Over and over again, he spoke of the Father within me. Where then does anyone get the authority to place God, perfection, outside of us? Not from the Christ. Can you see this for yourself? The Father within, the kingdom of God within, heaven within, said he who needed not that any man should teach him. The Father within means perfection within, eternal life within, almighty power within, unlimited inspiration and the possession of every good and perfect thing within our consciousness. You may say, I see this in a way, but I cannot see or say that I am God. Then this is the reason. You have not yet released yourself from the belief that you are an individual. A spray of water from the ocean cannot say I am the ocean, but as a whole it can. Jesus did not speak as an isolated spark of life and intelligence, but as the indivisible whole. To be sure, neither the Father nor heaven is within man. To consider oneself as man and still place perfection within is blasphemy. Jesus was not taking the position of man when he spoke such words. He was speaking from the state of the one, not the many, the indivisible, not the separate. In fact, he concisely declared, He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. Therefore give up your position as man, the student, follower, seeker after light, and you will directly find the fullness of life and truth to be in you, and shall know for a certainty, I and my Father are one. You express life, or you are life, but you are not the expression, you are it. You manifest intelligence, spirit, truth, and love, but you are not the manifestation. You are the original. If you will but contemplate these ideas and let them enter into your heart, you are bound to find the Spirit bearing witness that the message of ontology is the shining light, the living water. Chapter 13, Our Security. Revelation of being does not depend upon any person, church, or nation, but is available to everyone from the great within. Really, there is no genuine security in man's world. Today, as never before, this fact is becoming a definitely known reality. Such a discovery and acknowledgement is the important first step. The second, that we find exactly where to place our security. The only security for one now, or at any other time, is the perception that he is the truth and life in which abides the kingdom of heaven. Only with thine eyes, spiritual intuition and discernment, shalt thou behold, comprehend, the reward of the wicked, the insecurity and futility of human efforts to create and maintain an adequate material defense and protection. Because thou hast made the Lord, thyself, thy habitation, possession. There shall no evil befall thee. Of course, nothing inharmonious or destructive could enter the spiritual world or consciousness. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. Only because of our consuming love to be that which eternally we are, and to abide herein, shall we ever be able to find deliverance from these latter days. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. What is the name of our deliverer, if not, I am the life, I am the way, I am the door? Names of personalities will never be sufficient to save us, not even those carved in letters of gold upon the very hearts of the people. Nope. One name only will constitute our salvation and deliverance. The name I am. This is the name of the impersonal, the whole, the one indivisible Christ, mind or consciousness. Apropos of this subject, we find in the 7th chapter of Matthew, in Christ's Sermon on the Mount, the following prophetic words. Lord, Lord, have we not in thy name cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And I will profess to them, I never knew you. Now, such words as these are hard to accept without the insight and knowledge that the name Jesus alluded to was, I am. The phrase, I never knew you, alludes to any who teach and perform healing works as individuals. No individual person will ever save us, so why be deceived about it? Jesus' words, I know you not, carry sovereign authority, and the wise listen to and heed them. My sheep hear my voice. No name of church, creed, book, nor person will ever save anyone. By grace are ye saved, and not of yourselves. Already you are that which you seek. Then why delude yourself longer? Why not now, this instant, accept and take possession of the one name above all others, the only name under heaven whereby we shall be saved? I am that I am. Lo, when we give our love to the right one, when we make the great decision between the self and man, when we lovingly and rejoicingly choose one name above all others, then we set our love upon the right one to deliver us and set us on high. Joy, peace, and security shall be ours when we are able to live altogether and absolutely in the kingdom of perfection at hand. Even one moment's actual possession of it shall be our present mighty deliverance from any unhappy thought or thing. Verily, the secret place of the Most High is not afar off, never any further than where we are. But we must be willing and ready to turn absolutely and completely from the false to the truth, from the spectral to the real, and from the superficial man position to the actual Father state within us. For it is the perfect state within us which doeth the work of infinite love, peace, and harmony. One day, a little girl was asked if she would be afraid to remain alone for a time in a big house. Why, no, was her answer. Questioned further about it, she continued, God will be here. How do you know that God will be here? Persisted her questioner. Because I will be here, was the simple but great answer. When we have relinquished the false view of separateness and division and instead see and accept ourselves to be the one, then to us the gates of paradise open and a new life begins. In this newly found kingdom of the self, at last, we are ready to transcend the religion of books, give up teachers, organizations, and doctrines, and accept only the great answer of the Christ. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Chapter 14, Empty Bottle. In Matthew it says, put new wine into new bottles. Put new wine into new bottles is the imperial command, and one of vital importance at the moment. For instance, a distinct and unmistakably new view of life and being has now come into focus. Boldly and authoritatively it calls attention to the exact teaching of Christ and insists upon the contemplation thereof. Take specifically the new perception. I am not a student, but the truth itself. If this were adopted as merely another declaration to add to the store of one's personal knowledge, he would gain nothing from it, but rather deprive himself of very light and inspiration which such new ideas bring. When this new light first appeared to me, I beheld it as a startling and astonishing revelation, not merely a new thought, but an altogether different platform. My heart leaped to let it completely saturate me with its significant meaning and absorb my whole attention. Having sought all my life after the truth, here I was, at last, face to face with the astounding fact that now I had found it to be myself. To be sure, I had many times caught glimpses of this supreme reality, but only as though to add another lovely idea to my present practical knowledge or to claim it as a higher statement of reality. Now, all others, everything as it were, was swallowed up in this all-absorbing revelation. I am the truth. What a new foundation it was to me, a new platform, a new premise altogether. Does this revolutionary realism mean as much to you? It will, if only you will heed the wisdom of Jesus to put new wine into new bottles. And if you do not heed it, what then? You will simply be postponing your opportunity to take your heaven-given security, peace, and safety. In the light of this new revelation of ontology, let us see what the bottles in the parable represent. Surely something which is perishable, finite, and material. They therefore refer to the limited, the personal, and the divided, that which begins and ends. What then could they mean by such forms which denote personalities and individualities, limitation, materiality, mortality, the idiosyncrasies of those in a far country, the masquerade of many minds, many false beliefs, many opinions, many separate lives and beings? Here, intelligence appears bottled up in human brains, sight in eyes, hearing in ears, and all functions of life conditioned, localized, circumstanced. Such forms are supposed to contain life and substance, but they are hollow, like a phantom or shell. They but represent the false concepts of individualism, separateness, the many in contradiction to the one. They are dust to dust, for there is no life, intelligence, nor substance in them. This explains the appearance called death. The so-called individual supposedly escapes from one bottle or form to function in another. Learn the difference here and now between multiple material forms and the one infinite spiritual body. Rise and accept the new idea and perception that since life is one indivisible whole, the body of life is the identical substance. You then shall know another kind of bottle altogether, the imperishable identity which belongs to you as the life and the truth. You are infinite life itself. Thus you possess the body of infinite life, and no limited material form belongs to you at all. The body of life is immortal, immutable, imperishable, and eternal, indivisible as spirit, God. It can never be pluralized nor separated into human or material forms. This spiritual body comprises infinite, multifarious identities, which are imperishable, omnipresent, perfect, and tangible to mind or consciousness. They represent the character of spirit, mind, all that is true and perfect, such as beauty, loveliness, harmony, wholeness, and all similar qualities. You are this very life, mind, being. You are this identical consciousness. When you see this as the forever truth, and the Spirit bears witness with you, then you will be willing to let go entirely the mistaken belief that you are an individual living in a human existence. It's just not true. Listen closely. Can an idea think? An idea really is the think or thought, isn't it? It is in this sense that we suppose ourselves to be the thoughts of God. Still, all the while we knew that we were thinking, feeling, acting, being. In fact, we were instructed to be the thinkers. Now, how could there be a thinking idea? Do your ideas think? When you see your image in the mirror, does it reflect your life at all? Does it reflect sight? Does it reflect hearing? Does it reflect thinking? Isn't it actually colossal folly to imagine such a thing? We know for a certainty that we think, hear, see, and act, and that in no way do we resemble that image in the mirror. Contrast this form of religious teaching with that of Christ Jesus, who wielded almighty and omnipotent power, and who claimed it as his very own, who never intimated in any way that he was depending upon some outside original for it. The wonder and glory, the infinite charm and altogether loveliness of the Spirit of Truth, how it satisfies, how it glorifies, how it exalts us to know at last that we are the thinker of divine ideas, that we are the infinite mind with its unlimited, almighty power, and not the lifeless form of it in a mirror. All such theories are old bottles now to be discarded. Resurrection denotes a progressive change in forms, an advancing awareness which continually expresses itself in outlines of greater beauty, activity, vitality, and power. If all the beauty, glory, and grandeur now seen from a limited personal perception is entrancing, how much greater shall be the wonders and glories when seen from the luminous, infinite understanding. Ascension is the taking possession of the self as infinite spirit, God, which cannot be localized nor embraced by any form whatsoever, but ever expresses the body of infinite life, truth, and love. Rejoicingly, we should now renounce and disown all claim to the perishable bottles of forms which so long have restrained us, and gloriously and inspirationally take possession of the body of perfection, into which no discord of any kind can ever come. How safe and secure we feel. Now all fear departs entirely. We are at home. We are in our Father's house, where we enjoy our very own. Chapter 15, The Real Universe. The spiritual universe is the body or kingdom of infinite spiritual ideas and identities, infinite spiritual thoughts and modes of expression of the one universal mind or consciousness. Perfect consciousness possesses perfect inspiration, perfect wisdom, goodness, beauty, and loveliness, and the power of expressing them, perfect qualities, faculties, and activities. As we glimpse this light and continue to live and expand in it, we discern spiritual realities in a new way, and revelation continuously dawns upon us. We begin to learn more and more about ourself as spirit, the perfect and divine, as our beloved taught, ourself as life, truth, and love, immortal, infinite, indivisible. Then, presently, we come face to face with the awareness of the spiritual body as pure, immortal, immutable, and all harmonious. Such insight as this forsakes the position of mentally changing, correcting, healing, dematerializing, or spiritualizing a spectral, unsubstantial form, and instead seeks with light and glory to behold, discern, and take possession of the one body of spirit, which belongs to everyone, and to claim it as our very own. There shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth or maketh a lie. For instance, what we now call fingers, eyes, feet, and so on, rose, bird, lion, such exist as distinguishable spiritual identities, omnipresent, unchangeable, imperishable, immortal, and tangible. The infinite body of spirit, inclusive of its ideas and identities, can never be corrupted, defiled, lost, nor harmed in any way. Do not attempt to control any suppositional material form by any manner of spiritual thinking whatsoever. Look away from it entirely and altogether. Look into the kingdom of truth, life, and love, and here behold the immutable, the infallible, and the absolute. In the kingdom consciousness, within you abides the eternal spiritual body, which is forever yours, omnipresent, incorruptible, invariable, eternal, spiritual, real, and tangible. Will you take it? Look now to the concept of heaven as the perfect and ever-present universe, and determine for yourself what there is to be seen and to be discovered as your very own. What thoughts, ideas, identities do you see? Tell yourself and hold fast to such flaming intuitional realization. Do you not feel and appreciate harmony, perfection, changelessness, completeness, purity, beauty, joy, peace, and similar qualities of being? Take them. Take them. For they are yours. They are you. The kingdom of spirit, life, mind, into which you are looking, is the holy city, the kingdom which Jesus spoke of as heaven, and around which he based so many of his marvelous parables. Always he beheld it as consciousness, imploring us to let go and give up any and all human footsteps which are a hindrance to our acceptance of it. Vividly, stirringly, compellingly, he set forth the importance of our accepting heaven, the holy city, as above all material possessions. He foretold that no labour could gain it, no personalities attain it, purity alone could perceive and possess it. Why should one continue to struggle in darkness with inconsistencies and confusions, when the joy and glory of knowing that we are spirit awaits us all? How simple and easy to accept immaculate and immeasurable spirit to be all of us, and we to be wholly this. Lighted with the light of our own being, we know that we are self-existent and self-complete.